Hello everyone, it is Mrs. Ungetsu1997 here, and we have a brand new tutorial for you. I promised that I was going to do more of these, and I have a brand new shiny little object to show off today. So I've been prototyping a brand new script for the Bakugan launchers. It is not completely perfected yet. There is still a little bit of things that probably need to be bug tested and everything like that, but it is at the stage where we can publicly test it, and I'm happy with the result. So that's what we're going to go into today. So when you load in the mod, it won't actually be there just yet. I haven't uploaded it to the current version of the mod. It won't be there for a little bit. But I will be releasing a separate file on Discord and everything that everyone can download, and then you'll be able to access the new launchers there. So when you first come into contact with the new launchers, you're not going to be able to see much. They'll be completely empty, and there'll be no UI or anything like that that you can access. That is intentional, just to clear up some space on the table and everything and make things less obscured. So to activate the launcher, you'll notice when you hover over it, it says use context menu to disable/enable launcher UI. So you right click the enable launcher UI button, and then these sliders and all this stuff will appear. So when you're first using this launcher, it's going to be a little bit difficult to be able to predict where the Bakugan will going to be shot from. So to help with a lot of the shots, I have integrated a ghost path, which will basically show you roughly where the Bakugan is going to go. There's going to be multiple different kinds of shots that you're going to be able to do, and hopefully it's going to be an actual real useful tool instead of it just being a cheap gimmick like I used to have. So the first kind of shot we're going to show off is the straight shot. So you grab your Bakugan, load it in. Now you will notice that the launcher has 1 out of 3 on here. So and this can be modified in the future, but I've made it so that only 3 Bakugan can enter a launcher at any given time. That's just because most people, when they're playing Bakugan, will only have 3 Bakugan. So we can increase it. We can disable the filter and all that if needed, but that's currently the default. And the order on these bags is ordered in as first in, first out. So if you have 3 Bakugan in there, the first Bakugan you put in is going to be the first Bakugan that shoots out, as would any sort of gun or launcher or anything like that. First thing that goes in is the first thing that gets fired. So that's to cover that. So I'm going to go over some of these settings first. So obviously you have the fire button. So that will fire the Bakugan as per these settings. The first setting we have is the power setting. So that is basically how much velocity that the Bakugan is going to have when it's shot out. So we have the launcher a little bit further away than what you normally would have when you're just regularly rolling the Bakugan. How many is that? It's about 34 centimeters away. So normally you would only roll from 15 centimeters away, but this gives you a little bit more precision. Now, this line is basically indicating where the Bakugan will be when it stops rolling. Now, because of the way that things work, it may be that the Bakugan rolls further than that. It may not be, just because it is a calculation based on a whole bunch of mathematic calculations and everything like that. It's in the script. This becomes less reliable the more you add angle and curves and all that sort of stuff to the Bakugan. The more complicated the shot will be, the less likely the path will be able to predict where the Bakugan will go. And from my understanding, this ghost path is more or less time-based. So within the first few seconds, or within the first 5 seconds or whatever of the Bakugan rolling, that's how accurate that line is going to be. So we're going to aim to get a Bakugan on this card here. So we've got a Pirate's Bakugan in there if I'm not mistaken. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the power slider down. And as you reduce the power slider down, you will notice that the straight line will decrease. Now, for straight shots, the line is usually really accurate. And the Bakugan will roll a little bit further than the line. But as you progress the power scale and everything like that, it will roll further due to the opening script. So we're going to test this out. There's the fire button there. So Bakugan rolls pretty nicely, and it did land on the first card. So currently, the Bakugan will face the direction that they're traveling in when launched from a launcher. And when they're spawned, they will spawn in the same direction that the launcher is facing. So if if there's some kind of like custom game mode where like the direction of Bakugan matters and everything like that, this will influence that. But currently we're just playing regular Bakugan and everything like that. This is a beta sort of script. There may need to be some adjustments, and I don't know how it's going to work in multiplayer just yet. But in single player, it seems to be that I've managed to knock out all the bugs, or most of the bugs that are apparent at the moment. So fingers crossed it works really well. The next type of shot that we're going to show off is an angled shot. So with the second blue slider, this is your angle. This will change the angle that the Bakugan launches from the actual launcher, and this can be adjusted up to 60 degrees either side and all that. I gave it a little bit of freedom so that players can actually get some really good shots off from basically anywhere on the table. So we've got a Aqua's Bakugan in there, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to fire that, see how it goes. And as you can see, it travels along that path pretty well. It rolls a little bit further than that. And, it's opened up on this card here. Now, for the third shot, this is where things will get interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the angle. And we're going to give it some spin. So spin will change the curvature of the shot. And the curvature more or less starts right away. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, it depends on the settings. So we're going to fire that, and fingers crossed, there we go. Bakugan was moving slow enough, but it still followed that path pretty nicely, and it landed on that corner. The next shot I actually love to do is a bank shot. I describe a bank shot as being combining the angle and the spin modifiers. So we're going to tilt the angle further back this way. We're going to put the spin this way. And we're going to increase the power just a bit. Perhaps not. What this will do is it'll launch the Bakugan further out this way. The Bakugan will curve around the corner and it will come back around towards the center line. So we're going to put a Sub-Zero Bakugan in there. Now, this is where things get really interesting and unpredictable, because the way that the curvature system works, your line is not going to be perfect. It will be for this first part of the curve. Once the Bakugan starts curving, it's going to become not so accurate. So it's going to go on the outside of that curvature. It's not going to come, it's going to have a bit of understeer. So there we go. It comes in, and it did have a bit of understeer. But now this is one problem I've noticed, is that the edge of the cards will actually stop the Bakugan if it's rolling at too shallow an angle. So sometimes you need a higher angle to get it to land on that card. So what we might do is increase the power just a bit, decrease the angle, and maybe increase the spin. So this is going to be a learning curve for everyone, because it's going to take some getting used to. There we go. So it curved back in, which can be useful depending on where your launcher is located and all that. It's not as useful in this circumstance here, but there's going to be another shot a couple more shots actually, that I really like to use when I've been doing some testing. So the next one is going to be a hook shot. So with this spin delay slider here, what it does is it actually delays when the Bakugan starts to tilt start its spin, curvature. Now with this, normally you want to have it like the spin. I like to put the spin at a really high angle. We put the power a little bit up, reduce the angle just a bit, and it is a bit of a finesse here. We might need to turn that in. We're going to use a Ventus Bakugan this time. So as you can see, this is quite a sharp curve here, and I'm aiming to get it around here. That's where I'm aiming to get it. So we're gonna fire that. There we go. See, it takes a bit of time for that hook to come through. So we might want to reduce the power just a bit, so that because it's it takes a bit of effort to get around that corner, and it steers. So we might want to reduce the power just a bit more. And it may end up crashing into the Subterra Juggernaut. But there we go. There we go. So, as you can see, when you start adding some delay in with the spin and the angle, you can get some really nice shots. So you can get Bakugan coming in from here using this one location. All of these Bakugan have been fired from the same location. And all that. And, the Serpenoid is coming from the side. Now, the last shot that I've been able to kind of identify, which is very similar to the hook shot, I like to call it a reverse shot, because you're coming in at a very sharp angle and then you're coming back and all that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to angle the shot the other way. So we're going to have a narrower angle. We're going to have some more velocity. We're going to have a very sharp spin on the other side. Maybe I'll do that a little bit. And then we're going to delay the shot quite a bit. Maybe reduce that. Now, this may not be the best way to show it off, but ideally, the Bakugan's coming in at 39 degrees, and then it's coming up, and then it's going to hook back around this way. The Ghost Path does not show this off very well, simply because of the complexity of the physics engine. We can't really use angular velocity very well in Tabletop Simulator. It doesn't work much at all. So there's some other ways that we've had to work around it. We're going to use the Darkest Bakugan this time. We're going to fire that shot. It's going to hook back around. So I like to call that a reverse shot, because it's coming this way and it's coming back around. We might actually increase the angle just a bit, increase the delay, and perhaps this might better show off. So it's coming back around and everything. Actually, no, increasing the angle was not a good idea. So it does take quite a bit of effort to be able to understand how this system works. So we're coming back around, decrease the power just a bit and all. But I feel like this is going to introduce some really fun gameplay elements to be able to... There we go. So you're hooked back in. It's not that different to the hook shot, but the angle is quite a bit different. And all that. So I am gonna just show off like a couple of the other angles and all that we can get. So if we go for straight shot here, but then we do degrees. This is 120 degrees. It's changing quite a bit, and then we do that. We can actually get the Bakugan to rotate in a 180 degrees, and all that with this. I mean, that's most of the stuff that I want to show off with this video and all that. As I said, the launchers will not be on the actual mod itself for a little while until I update it. This will be a separate download in the Discord. I'm not going to exact link it and all that. It'll be on the Discord and everything like that. Just ask around for it if you want to find it and all that. They'll all have different skins. All the different skins will have this setting enabled and all that. And in that same file, I will have the new Bakuclip scripts as well. So we actually have a functional Bakuclip now, if you haven't already seen that. I think it's pretty funny or pretty fun. I'm pretty proud of it. But that's all for today, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.